guys, welcome back to the vlog. We're going to be playing over at Capital Casino in our usual 1-3 game and buy in for $500. The only thing different that we're going to be trying this week is we're going to try to play more aggressively. And we get into some spots, we increase our bet sizing, the whole thing. So I hope you enjoy this one. So sit back, relax, enjoy. Here it comes. All right, we sit down in a game that was going all night long, and we don't have the best seat in the world. We got the middle seat on the table, so filming is a little bit difficult for the first few hands, but I hope you bear with me. All right, this first hand, I'm on the button with ace-10 suited. There are two limpers in front of me. This is a green light to put in a little raise. I make it $25. I only get called from the player on my right. He's been fairly active, maybe not running the best at this current time. Flop comes queen high. There is one heart. I have some back doors, and I have the initiative. One check two, I'm going to continuation bet for $25. And that seems to work because after some thought, my opponent ends up folding, and we win our first spot. It's folded to the player in the low jack who opens for $15. I got queen jack suited. It's definitely good enough to play, but I decided I want to play this for a little raise. I make it $40 from the hijack. The player on the button cold calls the $40, and then it gets back around to the player in the low jack, and he also puts in the call. So we're going to have $124 in the center, and a decent hand. We just have to hit a flop. But my plan is just to fire wildly if necessary on a dry board. Flop comes out good for us. It's jack 9-3, so we got top pair. But there is a flush draw, and there's plenty of overcards that we don't want to see. So when the player checks, we decide to put out a big bet. 2/3 pot, we put in there $80. The player on the button quickly gets out of the way, but the player in the low jack is a little bit more stubborn. He started the hand with about $300. So if he calls off this, he's going to have about 180-ish left. If he calls, I'm just going to stick it in there as long as we get a good clean card. And it's the 6 of diamonds. It brings in an additional flush draw, but really shouldn't hit his hand at all. So when he checks, I'd say, well, let's just get it in. Bet out for the 180 he has remaining. He tanks for a while. But after some time and thought, he says he probably have aces, and he just ends up mucking it. Well, things are going good so far. We're up about $180, and we looked out at two jacks. There are two limpers in front of us. Raised to $25. End up getting two callers for the $25. So with $79 in the center, we go see a flop that comes out to beautiful Jack 7-6 rainbow. Woo, that's a nice flop for a pair of jacks. Both opponents end up checking, and of course I'm going to be putting in a c-bet. I figured 25 would be a nice little c-bet. It comes around to the first player who is in the big blind. He thinks for a little while, and he decides that he wants to raise. And he reaches somewhat deep. He gets 125 chips in front of him, and he slides it on in. So what could he possibly have? Well, hopefully he has something like 7-6. He could have the case jack, but I don't think he would raise this size. Or he could have complete air and just try to make a move on me. I've seen him make complete air moves in the past, so I'm just going to put in a call. Hopefully he continues, and we see a 7 on the turn. So we make a full house, and now he checks. All right, I've seen this opponent make wild stabs at flops many times. And usually it's just a one-shot deal. He'll make a big stab. If he gets called, he shuts it down. He doesn't put any more money in the pot. So if he has one of those type of hands, I'm not going to get any more money out. If he has 7-6 and he's setting a trap, all the money's getting in. If he has pocket sixes, all the money's getting in. But I'm going to try to get a little value from hands like 8-9 or 5-4. Those straight draws that might be encouraged to call one more off, but will definitely not pay anything off on the river if they miss. So I put in $100. It's probably a little too much. I agree. A better size would probably be something like $60 or $70. Give him room to make a move if he wanted to. But anyway, he snap folds, and we win a small one with a big flop. Well, shortly after this hand, we do get a seat change to the end of the table, and we are welcomed with the ace-10 suited in the cutoff. Open for $20, only get called from the player on the button. So, two of us headed to a flop with 44 in, and again, we get a dream flop when it comes out ace-high with 2 spades. First to act, I'm just going to fire. I bet 20 again. I get called rather quickly. Turn card, even better. It's a king of spades. Now there are some argument with slowing down, but I decided I'm going to be a little bit more aggressive today. So I go out to make a bet, and he instant mucks. Here, after 2 limpers, I pick up king, queen suited on the button, raised to $25. End up getting 1 caller for the $25. So we're going to go heads up to a flop with $57 in the center, and the flop comes out ace high, but it comes with 2 spades. So I got a flush draw, a gutter to a straight, and the initiative. My opponent checks. I make a continuation bet for $25, and he mucks. Well, we have a player open for $16. I got ace-3 suited on the cutoff. I decided to call, and that attracted 2 more callers. So we go 4 ways to this flop with 65 in. And the flop is jack-10-5. There is 1 heart, but we got not much. So we just check it, and it gets checked around. The turn card, on the other hand, is a pretty good card for us. It's a 4 of hearts. It gets checked to the initial raiser, who now fires small for $30. Now, here I'm debating whether just to put in the big boy raise and try to blow him off whatever hand he might have. But I saw the player behind me start looking like they're interested, so I decided just to call in case they had some sort of flush draw and they can call behind, basically calling dead. But he doesn't call. He puts in a raise to $100. Now, what could he have? Well, he checked on the flop, last to act, so I don't think he has a jack or 10 in his hand. So maybe pocket 4s. There's 3 combos of pocket 4s, and there's also 3 combos of 5-4 suited. The other players end up folding after some thought, and it's on to me. Now, I think that raising here as a semi-bluff is like really bad if he has pocket 4s, right? But if he has 5-4 suited, that means if a jack or a 10 comes, I can bluff at it, and if a heart or a deuce comes, I can bet for value. So for $70 more, this is definitely worth the price. River card comes is the king of clubs. I briefly think about making some sort of stab, but I decided against it, and he turns over 5-4 suited. Well, I'm on the button and it's folded to me. I open for $15 against the blinds. Small blind puts in a quick call, and then it gets to the big blind, who's a decent player, one of the better players in the room, and he's definitely going to be 3-betting or folding, so he ends up 3-betting here to $60. Now, I think my range is still very, very strong because my opening range on the button is fairly wide, but I'm at the top of my range, or near the top. And I want him to think that also. So I decided I'm going to go ahead and take control of this pot and raise it up to $160. Small blind gets out of the way, and now it's back to my opponent. If he has something better than me, I think he's going to be raising at this point. But he just puts in the call. So I'm thinking that he has a hand similar to mine, or most likely some medium-sized pocket pairs. The flop comes jack-jack-10, which is not bad actually for my particular hand. And when he checks, I bet for $100, basically putting pressure on hands like pocket 9s, pocket 8s, pocket 7s. And maybe he has a hand like ace-queen himself and thinks I have a pair, say kings. Anyway, he ends up folding, and we win this pot. Well, we then go completely card dead for about an hour before finally giving it up for the day. Gave back a little bit of our gains, but overall, I was pleased with the way I played. But no worries, we have more action coming for you. This happened 2 days later. I'm playing in the game, and I have been completely card dead for the first 45 minutes. Finally, I pick up Ace-King in the small blind. Now, there was a limp, a raise to 6, a call for 6. Comes to me, I'm going to put in a raise. I make it 35. It's folded back to the person who put in the min raise to 6, and he jams all in. Yeah, not a good situation. Now, earlier in the day, he went all in like 4 hands in a row. A couple times he didn't even look, but I'm pretty sure he looked this time, and I'm pretty sure he has a real hand. The question is, do I have enough equity to call? And my initial feeling is that I don't. He feels very strong to me. I do some math. It's going to cost me $185 to call this all-in bet. He doesn't have that much in his stack, about $220 to start the hand. So I need about 40% equity against his range. And if I give him a range of aces, kings, queens, jacks, and say ace-king, it's close. It's close. I think out of frustration more than anything else, I put in the call, and naturally he shows me a pair of aces. Get a little hope when the flop comes king high, but it's quickly put out when it comes 8-7, and we ended up punting off $220. About 10 minutes later, we pick up a pair of 9s after the player limps from under the gun, and we raise to $25. He's the only caller. Flop comes out, queen 8-6, rainbow, and he leads for $10. I think I'm getting a good price to set mine, so I pay the $10, and we see a turn card of a 7 of diamonds. Gives us an open-ender. This time he leads bigger for $15. All right, I got an open-ender. I'm sure I'm up against a hand better than mine, but if I can hit it, I can make some money. So I put in the $15. I also plan to bet any kind of overcard as a scare card, but it comes jack on the river. He checks it quickly to me. I just give up. I check it back, and he shows queen jack suited. Well, we're going to flash forward an hour and 20 minutes. We still have not won a pot today. Here I'm in the small blind with queen 9 suited. There were a bunch of limps. Gets to me, I decided to put the little squeeze on with queen 9 suited, make it $25. I get 2 callers, the player at the end of the table in the hijack and one from the button. Flop comes out, jack 10 deuce with 2 hearts. So we flop an open-ender and a flush draw. First flop we really hit today. I bet for $40. Get a very quick shove from the small stack in the hijack for his remaining stack, which was $90. Cost me $50 more. This is probably the only person at the table who's been running as bad as I have, so I'm going to see which one is going worse. Turn card is a ace of spades. River, 6 of hearts. Thank you. He turns over queen 9 of spades, and we take this one down. Well, we go quiet again for about another 30 minutes. In the meantime, a new player enters the game, and he's now in the cutoff. He's been being very, very aggressive and kind of running over the table. Haven't had anything to fight back with until I pick up ace 10 offsuit on the button. He raises to 20. I decide to put in the old re-raise, make it 75, and he puts in the call. Again, I think his range is way too wide, and he's playing way too loose. Flop comes out, really good for our hand. It comes 10 high, rainbow. He checks it over. I'm going to do like a standard C-bet size, about half pot, so I go for $70. He doesn't think too long before putting in the call. So once he calls, I'm just thinking, okay, small card, keep it under the 10, I'll be happy. Don't give him any kind of equity. Well, the turn card comes is the Nine of Hearts. It does bring in some straight draws, especially the hands like Queen Jack or King Jack now have, open enders or a double gutter. If they happen to be suited, now he has a flush draw. I don't have any of the hearts blocked, so it's more likely that he has a heart in his hand, possibly two. So when he checks it over, I'm just going to get it in, see if he wants to play, and he snap folds. Well, I'm getting closer to being even. I'm only down like $300 now. Pick up 9-10 suited on the button. We've got a player that limped, player raised to 10. Couple calls, I call. We go 5 ways to the flop with $53 in the center. Flop is beautiful, 10-9-3 with 1 spade. We got top 2 and a backdoor flush draw. The initial raiser bets out for $20. Player to my right folds, and I'm just going to raise it up right away, get the other 2 players out, and get heads up with this player. As I said, he's probably the only person at the table who's been running as cold or colder than I have been. He puts in the call, and we go to a turn of a deuce of diamonds. Can't ask for much better. I guess you could ask for 2 of spades, yes. But that's just a perfect card. He checks it over. I kind of want to keep him in. I bet 90. I think I have him totally crushed. Now, he might have some sort of overpair, so I don't want to see a 2 or a 3 on the river. Of course, ace-10 is a definite possibility, and so is a hand like Queen Jack or King Jack for a straight draw. River's a 6 of spades. His effective stack is a pot-sized bet, and that's what I decided to go for. If he has one of those good hands, he's going to be calling a lot. If he has a misdraw, he's just going to be snap folding. He does turn over King 10 offsuit, so he has a 10, and now he's thinking whether his kicker's any good. Of course, I could easily have a hand like Queen Jack myself, or possibly a 10 with a worse kicker. So he's in a tough spot. As I said, he hasn't been having a very good day, and I think that he's more leaning towards calls, and then he tosses in the chip. I show him the 9-10, and we end up winning this $1,000 pot. All right, we're up $180, and we get a free peek at a flop with Jack 4 of clubs in the big blind. Flop comes Jack 9-4 rainbow. First player checks. I decided to check for deception. The player who's been hot and stuck all day bets for $10. Going to go for a check raise, but the player in the small blind decides to put in the check raise for me. I decided just to call. I figure a check raise of a re-raise will look too strong, and I wouldn't get any action. Then the other player ends up putting in the call. Now he has a short stack, and I figure he should probably put anything in if we show weakness. So when the small blind checks, I decide to check it, which I think is a mistake. I should just be betting here. I thought the player in last position was fire. Anyway, we get a river of an ace of spades. Of course, this does not help me any. It makes my hand weaker in case someone had something like ace 9 or any other kind of ace jack, which I doubt anyone had. But it's not a great card. It's also a scare card for all the people that have maybe a hand like Queen Jack or King Jack. First player ends up checking. I got to go for value. I should have bet the turn. I know you guys are going to tell me that. I agree. I should have bet the turn. I bet for $40. Player at the end of the table folds rather quickly. Small blind takes a while and then decides he's going to look me up. And he puts in the call. And I show my Jack 4. And of course it's good, but I lost out on some value on that turn card. Should have definitely bet. The very next hand, I'm in the small blind with King Queen suited. Now there is an open for 20. 3 people end up calling. I call. We go 5 ways to a flop of 9-8-3 rainbow. There is a diamond. I do have a backdoor straight flush draw. I check it, of course. It gets checked to the initial raiser, who jams all in for $109. Next player puts in the call for the $109. I'm pretty much done with the hand, and especially when the button decides that they're going to call for $109. I take one last look as I throw my cards away. It could have been, just imagine it came with a jack or a 10 of diamonds on that flop. I might have been tempted to stick around. Well, it gets back around to the person in seat 2 who has about $450 in their stack when they started, and they jam all in. The first caller is caught, of course, puts in his remaining $25 in chips. So now we have 3 people all in, and the player on the button decides that his hand is worthy of putting in a call himself. So when he figures out the exact amount he owes, he does end up sliding it in. And we got a $1,200 pot, and I'm not sure what they have. Well, I'm pretty sure that the person who jammed all in for the $450 has the best hand at this point. Maybe 2 pair, maybe a set. Turn card comes, is an 8, pairs the board. River is a 4, shouldn't change much. And the person who's put all in shows pocket 3s for the full house, and it was good for the entire pot. This also sent 3 players home for the day, and the game got much, much worse after that. Now, I did stick around for a while to see if the new players sitting down would bring as much action as the ones that were leaving, but they were the opposite of that. So I figured it was a good time for me to go, and that was it for the day. So that first day we ended up winning a little bit and struggled the second day, but we ended up booking a smallish win on that day also. So for the week, we're up $425. For the month, we're up $425. And so far year to date, we're hanging around the 10K mark. Definitely not as good as I hoped at this point. We had that big swoon in June and gave back a lot of our profits and wins that month. And then we kind of been trading sideways for a while. But I do feel optimistic about our future, and I think that we're going to be back on a rush and running it up again soon. So if you want to watch that, come back next week and we'll show you another video. Until then, thanks for all your support, and good luck at the tables, and we'll see you back here soon.